Welcome to YellBro Road. I am Jordan, and today we're going to hear Glenn Greenwald. Maybe did a little bit of investigating. Although I think I heard this story before, especially on like T-Lab, of some of these groups. I don't like they're kind of anonymous. So I don't know who the fuck they are, but I guess they're extremely pro-Israel, and they're the ones snitching on these college kids. And apparently, the government's listening to them. We're going to hear Glenn Greenwald's take on it. But But first, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them. Donate, bitches. Do it now. Do it for Glenn. All right, so we all know about the mass deportation effort, not just the Venezuelan ones, but I guess people with visas, student visas, H-1Bs, even green card carriers. Where these guys are, where the government's attempting to deport them for having having the wrong opinion, apparently is now a crime. Even though the right wing made this whole fucking thing, like, oh, we're getting censored on Twitter. Well, guess what? Motherfuckers are getting kicked out of the country. So hopefully these guys will be standing up in defense of them. Like, yo, you're allowed to criticize Israel, bro. You're not gonna get, kicked out of your classes or your diploma taken or fired from your job or whatever the fuck. We all know about that. Whatever. We all know about this story. Glenn's gonna give us some information about some groups here, some quote unquote activists that are apparently looking up these names and ratting them out to maybe ICE or something. I don't know who the fuck they're giving the names to where they somehow have direct connection with our immigration policies. It's fucking bizarre. Like, think about it. If your kid got fucking, I don't know, got shot at by gang members, right? You can have discrete details of everything, every little thing brought to the surface, all information, all investigated, and the government's going to do nothing about it. It's going to be like, well, you should just call the cops. Like, there won't be any type of mass government changes or movements happening. No new precedents of fucking laws being done. Like, no. You'll just be fucked. Just have your dead kid. That's it. But these guys, somehow, like, that should be as much of a shame as anything else, is that, wait a minute, you can just write names down, give it to someone, and boom, these guys are getting deported or arrested. That's fucking crazy. Like, and as we've seen, these guys have done nothing illegal. They're fucking PhD students or have PhDs already. They're highly vetted before they got into the country. Like, they're the star student motherfuckers, straight up. And yet, the government comes down on these guys. So, all right, let's just hear Glenn out. He's going to expose some of these groups, although apparently we don't know. We don't have names. We don't have who funds them. But, all right, here we go.
Now,
system update.
Again, the government, Marco Rubio is not finding these people. Homeland Security is not finding them. ICE is not finding them. ICE isn't even looking for them. They're here legally. They only become illegal when Marco Rubio secretly revokes their green card or their visa because they criticize Israel. So how do they know where to find these people? There are two incredibly shady Israel groups, pro-Israel groups, connected to Israel. Typically, their funding is completely anonymous. There's been reporting on where they get funding. Who they are is even anonymous. One of them is the Canary Mission, and they have been now for a decade. If a student expresses in a classroom criticism of Israel, they take the student's name and they put them on a website that has been highly funded so that it's the first Google result. If you enter that student's name when they go apply for work, it'll be, here's a list of all the anti-Semites on American campuses. While they're doxing students and professors and putting their name on the internet, these cowards will not say or identify themselves who's behind this mission, this Canary Mission. And they have been quite boastful of the fact that their list is who the Homeland Security and the State Department is using to determine who gets removed from the country. In other words, pro-Israel fanatics are dictating to the U.S. government who can and cannot stay in this country based on whether they love Israel or not. That is the literal truth of what is happening.
Now that for me, it's pretty scary. And once again, I don't know. I view these motherfuckers like you're fucking devil worshippers, bro. That's where I'm at. Sorry. I can't, like, when I hear Crowder talk about certain things, he's like, yeah, turn them the glass. Talk about, like, bombing people. I'm like, God damn it, you love the devil's dick, don't you? And something tells me these guys do too. Especially when you hear what they allegedly tweeted out later in this video, where it's like, okay, I don't care how pro whatever you are. There's no way you cheer that shit on, right? Well, here we go.
And I just don't understand how anybody who claims to believe in free speech or the values of free discourse or academic freedom cannot be anything but enraged by this. Can be anything but enraged by this. It's exactly what you've been saying you so vehemently oppose, but this time done to protect a foreign country. Here's the Canary mission on March 27th, boasting of their work to have her deported. Quote, this is Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish national being deported for, quote, activities in support of Hamas, according to
This is that's the girl who, this innocent little girl walking down she's not little. She's 30 years old. She's a grown woman, but I'm like, oh, it's like some fucking kid walking down the street with her fucking book bag. And then 7 motherfuckers roll up with masks on and fucking, like, barely showing badges and, like, put her in handcuffs and walk her away. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's like the most pussy action I think I've ever seen in my life. Like that's, I don't know, man. But all right, here we go.
A Turkish national being deported for, quote, activities in support of Hamas, according to DHS. Sources point to her Canary profile as the primary cause. So they're claiming credit. They're saying our website that's designed to destroy the reputation of anyone who doesn't revere and love Israel or who criticizes it is the cause of why the government decided to deport her. And then here is what they have to say about her. There you see Rumeysa Öztürk, Tufts University student, detained during a routine check-in due to, quote, activities in support of Hamas, according to DHS. She graduated from the Teachers College at Columbia University in 2020 and has been living in the U.S. on a student visa until her detention. And this is her...
Look at that. See that? That's the face of terror. Be fearful, everyone. Look at that face. If you see that face, you run the opposite direction. It's so far. Oh my God, I'm so scared right now. Hurry up, Glenn. I don't want to keep looking at this.
Mission. This is the kind of thing they do. They put the person's
goddamn
picture,
David,
their name, and they pay a lot of money to promote the website to make sure that it becomes the first Google search. So obviously, it's a blacklist. It's like a McCarthy list. And they label someone a terrorist and pro-Hamas simply because they oppose Israel. And here's their dossier on her. This is the entirety of it. Rumeysa Öztürk engaged in anti-Israel activism. Ooh. In March 2024, in the wake of the Hamas terrorist attacks on Israelis on October 7th. On October 7th, Hamas murdered approximately 1,200 Israelis, kidnapped hundreds, and wounded thousands. War crimes.
Oh, that is now that is a 9/11 phrase, bro. It's like back in the day when these fools would say 9/11 10 million times during like a Fox News broadcast. They would say that shit 10 million times to emphasize like we are justified in what we were doing. And it's like, holy fuck, that's scary and the most pussy action on planet Earth. Here we go.
24th, in the wake of the Hamas terrorist attacks on Israelis on October 7th. On October 7th, Hamas murdered approximately 1,200 Israelis, kidnapped hundreds, and wounded thousands. War crimes, including mass rape and torture. Many Palestinians...
Israelis killed some of their own people, too, that same day. Just want to throw that out there. Here we go.
On October 7th, Hamas murdered approximately 1,200 Israelis, kidnapped hundreds, and wounded thousands. War crimes, including mass rape and torture. Many Palestinian civilians participated in and supported the attacks, and Gazans working in the targeted Israeli communities gave intelligence to Hamas on where to strike. For more information, see the Canary page on Hamas. Öztürk is a supporter of the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement.
Okay.
And then they have this page, Rumeysa Öztürk. By the way, you haven't heard anything specific about what she's done, other than write this op-ed. Here under the page anti-Israel activism, this is what they say she did. On March 26, 2024, Öztürk co-authored an op-ed published in the Tufts Daily newspaper entitled Try Again, President Kumar, renewing calls for the Senate to adopt 4 TCU Senate resolutions. So on their dossier that they say is what caused for deportation, they're admitting the primary offense or primary transgression is publishing that op-ed in the tough student newspaper that they disliked because it was critical of Israel. And now the government is obeying these pro-Israel groups on who to deport.
Damn, it even sounds like a non-violent version trying to go through legal means to change, like, try to influence laws that she likes or doesn't like. Wow, wait, what a fucking crap! What a terrorist! Holy shit! I just want to add this. The people that are doing all this non-violently, I know this shit sucks. It fucking sucks that they're arresting people and deporting or attempting to deport people and all that shit. Someone tells me they might actually lose that case. Like the judges might be like, no, you can't just deport this person for having an opinion. Sorry. Hopefully that works out that way. But yeah, right, there's shitty things happening. But if this isn't any sign to you, like, this shit's actually working. Non-violently stating your opinions and standing up for something or standing against something you think is wrong, right, without any threats of violence, no attempts at violence, just your words and your intellect. It fucking works, dude. This, to me, is proof of that. That they got little scrawny, schemy little motherfuckers running around writing names down. Like little fucking dweebs. This proves it works. And then when they arrest this woman, and they show, hey, here's this dastardly woman, here's what she did. She wrote an opinion piece in a college newspaper? That's all you got? It makes them look stupid. Up front, look stupid. Now, the problem here is that the government is working alongside these motherfuckers to make the bad things happen like this. To try to get these guys deported or get their visas or green cards taken away. But I think if you remain nonviolent, the outside marketing of it, these guys look fucking stupid. And I think there's a reason why they're working at breakneck speed to, like, just force, like, fucking just send them to Louisiana. All right, try to get them out of here as fast as we can. Because as time goes by and more people hear about what they're doing, they're like, oh, fuck, we can't just do this now. We're caught. They're not going to let us just do this. Hey, it's fucking, like, I'm wrecked. But I just wanted to say that, like, doing things in a righteous way, in a righteous manner, I think pays off in the end. But here we go.
Not based on crimes they committed or property they destroyed or people they harassed or attacked, based on their ideas about one foreign country.
Because that's the scariest thing.
Professional, very moderate.
Thinking people is the scariest thing to these motherfuckers. They don't want critical thinkers at all. They want dumb motherfuckers that will just eat up everything they say and fall in line. But people that have intellectual battlement, intellectual fucking weaponry and armor, you're not stopping that shit. You're going to have to, like, actually get physically violent in order to stop that shit. Which is essentially what they're doing, right? They have to physically grab you, physically put you in handcuffs, and physically transport you to another state, and then try to physically remove you from the country. Right? And then there's people that they can't do that with, right? There's straight up Americans, right, that they can't do that shit with. There's a lot of police going out there trying to crack heads or whatever the fuck they do. And as time goes by, they're going to look more and more dumb. It may take them a while, right? When they're 80 years old, like, oh, fuck, I'm sorry for what I did. The police officers I'm talking about. The politicians, they're just going to, whistle their way through life. It is what it is. But the regular people would be like, damn, we can't ever let that shit happen again, like, ever. Hopefully. But, all right, here we go.
Property they destroyed or people they harassed or attacked based on their ideas about one foreign country. Published in a very professional, very moderately stated op-ed. This group goes on, quote, the authors urge, quote, President Kumar and the Tufts administration to meaningfully engage with and actualize the resolutions passed by the Senate. The op-ed referred to the passing of anti-Israel resolutions by the Tufts Community Union. Senate, which demanded the university, quote, acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, apologize for University President Sunil Kumar's statements, disclose its investments, and divest from companies with direct or indirect ties to Israel. That's the only thing it lists. Obviously, if she had vandalized buildings or attacked Jewish students or praised Hamas, that would be in here.
Yeah.
They're very comprehensive. The only thing they have on her is that she wrote that op-ed. But that's enough for the United States government, eager to serve Israel, defend Israel, shield Israel from criticism, to deport her in the middle of her PhD program. Here's another one of the groups that is taking credit for it as well. And by the way,
let me get to that. But once again, this has been done for a long time with Israeli lobby groups and all that shit. They've been doing that for a very long time on college campuses for decades now. And I'm sorry to be like, there's gonna be a downer about it, but I think it's too late, man. It's too fucking late. Like, they're going to run over Gaza, and maybe they'll get some consequences after that, but it'll be too late for the people there. Either they'll have to leave or they'll be gunned down too. And they've been shutting people up on college campuses for decades. It is documented. A notable one, which it's older, right? Like the Israeli lobby by I think it was Al Jazeera, did like undercover investigation thing, where these motherfuckers who don't even know anything about Israel are astroturfing fucking like protests and shit like that, right? Being like a fake counter group to people that are protesting against what Israel does. They'll set up basically fake groups to counter them, or they'll make up some sort of story about Jewish students are being harassed on campus, even though they have no proof of that. But they'll just say that and then hold banners up and astroturf. They just get a bunch of people, they bust them in, and they all get on campus and they're all, yeah, fuck it, stop the violence against Jewish students, right? And it's not just Jewish students doing this, but it's all different races I saw in this video, right? There's like notably there's like this black kid who was on one of these buses. It just seemed like he was there for a good time almost. Like what do you get, like free food at the end or something? Like, what are we doing here? Meanwhile, like a lot of these kids don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they're just, I don't know, possibly paid or whatever, paid in food, paid in parties. I don't fucking know. And they create a fake protest essentially of some event that didn't actually happen. But it makes it seem like, oh, there's ongoing abuse of Jewish students at these campuses, and the main culprits are everyone protesting Israel. They're the main culprits of it. And it could force universities' hands to be like, all right, fuck, we got to shut you guys down. You quote unquote BDS guys, we got to shut you guys down. So it has been happening a long time. It's just it's now taking an extreme form of that, right? Where they're actually wanting to kick people out of the fucking country for it, or take away diplomas, or kick them out of school, and yada yada yada. It's fucking crazy. But at the same time, I still view it as like they're ramping up, but I still think it's like, it's not too late to try to get the word out or whatever. It's too late in the sense of what's going to happen with Gaza. Like, I think that's it. I think that's it. And it's like, yeah, we sat back and a genocide happened, and we're in the midst of it, and we just sat back. It's absolutely crazy. But all right, here we go.
Criticism to deport her in the middle of her PhD program. Here's another one of the groups that is taking credit for it as well. And by the way, the Canary Mission, as I said, they're an extremely secretive group. They have a lot of funding. They won't say who their funders are. They won't even say who they are.
That's
crazy. To the government who can stay in our country or not, based on how much they love Israel or don't.
That's crazy. Think about it. If these are like students, like, bro, they're strangers funding someone's children to do this shit, paying them money. Who knows what the fuck they're giving them, right? The random kid. Who knows what the fuck they're giving these kids? They're telling them to go out and do this shit. And it's like, if I was a parent, I'd be fucking livid, bro. Like, who are you? Why are you talking to my kid? Who the fuck are you? Shady guy handing out money to kids. Like, it's fucking weird, bro. But all right, here we go.
The other group is Batar Worldwide. It is a radical pro-Israel group. It's considered radical even in Israel. And they too took credit. Quote, she was on our list. Many more jihadis are. We will be making a new submission Monday with approximately 1,800 more jihadis. Submit to us candidates with proof for ICE government to consider. That's where the government's getting these names from these very sketchy Israel-connected groups of people they want out of the country for criticizing Israel.
It'd be weirder
Here's
if,
Tammy
if
Bruce,
they're
the
not
Department of State
students.
spokesperson, being asked about.
That'd be crazy if those guys are not students and they're walking around college campus writing names down and shit like little weirdos. What the fuck you doing around these kids, bro? Anyways, there we go. I bet you there's a reason. Like, I'm sure there's like protection reasons why they keep their names hidden. But also, let's be real, they're probably the dweebiest humans on planet Earth. You'd be like, oh no, you got picked on, you're taking on the rest of the world, aren't you? Is that what happened? Yeah. Oh, fuck. Like, little Timmy in second grade didn't beat you up because you were Jewish. He beat you up because you snitched on him when he fucking cheated on a fucking math test, bro. He punched you for that shit. Tommy cheated, miss. Oh, bitch ass. I'll see you at 3 o'clock behind the fucking... behind the swings, bro. See you at 3 o'clock. It's over for you. No. All right, here we go.
Criticizing Israel. Here's Tammy Bruce, the Department of State spokesperson, being asked about all of this, and here's what she said.
So just going back to the visa revocations, there's a group called Betar that has told
if they only knew
CBS
the cool
that
nerds were taking over the world.
Provided thousands of names to the Trump administration of visa holders and naturalized foreigners who, quote, come to the West to rage against America and support U.S. designated terrorist organizations. Can you confirm whether that organization is providing lists to the Trump administration and whether those lists are being taken by the State Department and DHS to do any of this work?
You know, the Trump administration, I'm not involved in those decisions, and I certainly can't speak on them. Certainly, in general, not for the State Department. That goes through the framework of the work that we're doing. Whether it exists or not, I won't confirm. It's a matter of we've got broad authority certainly, but how they're coming to those decisions for the consular offices and visas, we will not discuss not only individual visas but the process of what goes through in determining what happens with individuals and visas and whether they're issued or if they're revoked. So I won't be talking about that today. Yes, Nick.
So
Incredibly, it's like, once again, these are IQ tests, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, in very recent memory of Donald Trump being accused of being a Russia fucking asset, right? And Russia's trying to subvert our elections by making memes on Twitter or some shit like that, right? And now this start where it's like probably a lot more dots, blatant dots connecting to a foreign government trying to influence the way we I don't know, legislate the law here is fucking crazy. And somehow it's like it's just not there. Like, where's MSNBC and CNN? Where are they like, oh my god, a foreign government might be influencing President Trump and his administration? None of that's even brought. Like, because let's be real, most likely these groups, their secret funding probably has connections to the Israeli government. Because I just did a video yesterday where Netanyahu was saying, I applaud what the Trump administration is doing with getting these Hamas supporters, these disgusting Hamas supporters out of the country. Like, I support what he's doing. It's like, there's probably a government connection. And the whole, what's his name, Michael Flynn thing with Russia wasn't really with Russia. It was with Israel. Like, it's blatantly documented that he was talking with Israeli officials about actually getting policy through if Trump gets elected, which is the thing they said Russia was doing, but Russia was not doing that. So I'm like, it's an IQ test. I don't understand. Like, it's so hypocritical on its face. The stories are contradicting. It doesn't make sense, bro. And it's like, All they're doing is giving room for the dumb Nick Fuentes motherfuckers out there, and like they're doing all this, they're creating political parties right now as we speak. And then the thing they were actually scared of, or the thing they were pretending to be scared of, could come to fruition because that's like, what do you want to? Like, what do you think's gonna happen, dude? Literally creating these motherfuckers in real time because they're gonna be like, this doesn't make sense. How come this country gets to do X, Y, and Z, and this other country does it? We invade them. We invade them like every time, or we fund to overthrow their leaders and all that shit. But when these guys do it, nothing happens. Even when someone wants to hold them to account, we veto it, or we protest it. The U.S. protests when the UN or the ICJ or whoever the fuck wants to call out any Israeli officials or the Israeli government itself for committing crimes against humanity. The U.S. protests it, or they veto the fucking idea. And it's like, well, how does that? It doesn't make sense. And honestly, once again, sorry to be Debbie Downer here, but it's probably too late. People, more and more people are starting to notice that this shit is happening. Well, guess what? I think it's too late. The right guy is in office for the wrong shit to happen. I'm telling you right now. And I mean, like, that means like all-out war type shit. Where like now there's no time to complain because now there's an all-out war. And all the little maneuvers that led to where we're at today, they got too much of a head start. It's too late, bro. I think it's too late. I mean, it's never too late to do the right thing, but it might be too late in the material sense of like, yeah, we were going to end up in a war anyways. God is going to be genocided and ethnically cleansed, and then that's it. Like, we have to live with that, apparently. And this was like, no, I'm not going to say anything about that. Well, what about it? No, I'm not saying nothing about that. And it's like, how is it this many people? It doesn't make sense. It gives credibility to the Candace Owens fucking, they're all fucking blackmailed by Mossad and the CIA. Because it doesn't make sense why all these people are actively moving in one direction like that, while seeming to, like, supposedly on the surface supposed to be so disconnected from each other. Like, I know she works for Trump, but if you say, like, yo, here's the stats of how many dead babies are in Palestine right now from Israeli bombs, you would think she'd have an emotional flinch at least, right? Or a stutter, or like, oh my God, or something, right? But she might not, and it's like, how the fuck does that happen? How are you that locked in with this? It's crazy. But, alright, let's continue on. Then we'll go over more of the devil worshippers. Here we go.
These groups are out there taking credit. These groups, by the way, only have one cause, one mission: devotion to Israel. The United States, Americans, not part of the agenda, just this foreign country of Israel. And they're boasting about the fact
I don't even believe that.
that they're the ones who are telling Homeland Security and the State Department who to deport.
That's the narrative where I'm not going with. No, I'm not going with that. I think these guys are all teammates, bro. The people in the Trump administration, people in Israel government shit, these quote-unquote protesters or activists, and this kind of these extreme pro-Israel groups. These guys are teammates. To what end? I don't know. That's the mystery. For what reason? What purpose? What does any of them get out of it? Like, truly. I don't know. If something tells me that if the initial actions in Israel were peaceful, like, yo, we're getting out of Europe because these motherfuckers are trying to kill us. We want a place to go. We want to live in communion with you guys. Yeah, sure, some of you are Muslim, some of you are Jewish, some of you are Christian, but we want to be able to be like a community here. Let's work together. This shit would have been cleaned up already. Straight up. Because I just assume that people would rather be comfortable than at war all the time. Or afraid a bomb's going to hit them at any moment. Like, I'm just saying. of course, the loudmouth dweebs always fucking push in a direction. All right, here we go.
That they're the ones who are telling Homeland Security and the State Department who to deport. And when asked about it, the State Department won't deny that. They won't even confirm. They won't say how they're getting these names. And above this video, where Tanny Bruce refused to say whether Batar and the Canary mission, as we know they are, because they say so, are giving these lists to the U.S. government. Batar basically gave a thumbs up to her, said, good job, a little pat on the head again from an Israeli group, something so many people in Washington crave and will do anything for. Here's the Jewish newspaper Forward on March 10th. Doing a little profile, the Jewish groups targeted Columbia grad student Mahmoud Khalil, then ICE arrested him. Documenting Jew hatred on campus called to, quote, deport Mahmoud Khalil days before the immigration agents detained him. Quote, Ross Glick, a pro-Israel activist who previously shared a list of campus protests.
Sorry, I'm going to say it again. People need to stop mixing them up with each other, because guess what? There's people who protest. I hate doing it. It sounds so tokenizing, but there's Jewish students that protest alongside Mahmoud Khalil. These guys are pro-Israel devil worshippers, bro. They're different. A different type of person, bro. I don't care if they like the same religion. It's like, I like Christianity, but so does Steven Crowder, and he's a fucking devil worshiper. Sorry, it is what it is, guys. So, I wouldn't say Jewish groups target, like I said, it's with something that could be something like AstroTurf situation. It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a Jewish student or a Jewish group. So, yeah, once again, that's just going to spell trouble. Because listen, there's a lot of idiots around the country. Like, I mean, even Glenn was giving some soft support for Donald Trump in a way. Maybe not full-on support, but in a way, I think he was. When I saw the tea leaves a mile away, I'm like, no, this guy's full of shit. This guy's gonna do harmful things. There's no crazy prediction about that. That just seems blatantly on paper. This guy's gonna do horrible shit, blatantly. So, I guess humanity, we're just so fucking stupid that we repeat the same fucking problems over and over again. This thing of mixing Jewish with Israeli, I think, is a hefty mistake. A big mistake. That's what Netanyahu does when, if you say I'm against Israel, they say, oh, you hate Jewish people. Got it, you're an anti-Semite, got it. That's what those guys do. So why the fuck would we be doing that shit? I mean, not saying we as in, I'm in team with Glenn Greenwald or any of these other motherfuckers. I'm just saying, there needs to be hard distinctions here. Right? Between government actions where they have intelligence agencies that can cause all types of harm around the world, just like every other fucking intelligence agency, and just regular people. You need to make distinctions. I go with the word devil worshiper. All right, here we go.
Deport Mahmoud Khalil days before the immigration agents detained him. Quote, Ross Glick, a pro-Israel activist who previously shared a list of campus protesters with federal immigration authorities, said that he was in Washington, D.C. for meetings with members of Congress during the Barnard Library demonstration and discussed Khalil with aides to Senators Ted Cruz and John Fetterman, who promised to, quote, escalate the issue. He said that some members of Columbia's board had also reported Khalil to officials. Glick, the activist who discussed the Khalil case with Senate staffers, was until recently connected to a far-right Jewish group called Batar, which began compiling a list last fall of international students involved in the protest and shared the database with the Trump administration. Here is one of the things that Batar says, here from their Twitter account on February 20th, 2025. You see there a tweet from Laila Al-Aryan, who's been on our show before. She says, these are the names of Palestinian babies. A long list of Palestinian babies that Israel killed before they reached their first birthday. Unfortunately, it is likely an undercount given the number of people missing and under the rubble. Okay, just want to say this again. This is a list of Palestinian babies in Gaza that the Israelis have killed through bombing, through shelling, before they reach their first birthday, not even counting 2-year-olds, 3-year-old, 4-year-old infants or toddlers, ones that did not reach their first birthday. 6-month-old babies, 3-month-old toddlers. Now, you can blame Hamas, which I'm sure some of you do, whatever. But any decent person, by definition, would lament the loss of this huge number of babies who didn't reach their first birthday and had their lives extinguished in this war. But not Qatar, who dictates to the U.S. government who can and cannot stay. They said on top of this list, it's not enough. Not enough. We demand blood in Gaza.
Yeah. You see why I say devil worshiper? Well, wait, these guys come up like that statement right there comes off as like some agent provocateur shit, where it's like, yo, we'll dress up in masks and we'll pretend we're one of you guys and we'll start destroying property and then we'll call the cops and say, look what they did. That's what these fools come off like, where it's like, yo, don't fall for this shit. Don't fall for that shit, bro. But the people are gonna fall for it. I wish I could like put my psyche in other people's mind. Like, hey, let me tussle with your mind. Pause. But I can't do that. But there's people that are gonna take this and say, look, like just like Glenn said, right? A Jewish group. There's nothing. Where's that in their religion? Where is that in there? I don't think that's in there anywhere. We demand blood in Gaza. I don't think that's anywhere in the fucking Torah, Talmud, wherever the fucking book it is. Right? I don't think that's in there. But they're going to say, like, oh, we represent Jewish people. Glenn's going to call them a Jewish group. Right? It's like going to fuck the whole thing. I am telling you, and idiots will fall for that simple-ass kindergarten psychology shit. Not saying Glenn's doing it on purpose. I'm just saying, like, people will, like, Glenn's Jewish himself, right? But people will take this and go in this weird fucking direction. It's already alive and well on Twitter, at least, unless those are bot accounts. I'm telling you, it's going to go in a bad direction, in my opinion, as far as how you diagnose what problems you're seeing. It's going to be misdiagnosed again, and it's going to cause its own set of problems. Yeah. And fucking Seb's warned me about this shit. It started to come true, man. Where they're like, there's weird lack of focus on like, yo, here's a government, here's the leaders in the government acting corruptly, using their money, weapons, intelligence agencies to spread corruption around the fucking world as much as they can. But there's gonna be some dumb fuck on Twitter saying, Jewish, it's the Jews. Finally, you guys woke up. Told you the Jews were doing it. Like, what? I'm just saying it now, just so people can act like, so that no one acts like I didn't fucking say it. Which happens too often. So I'm saying it now. Be weary of that shit. But, alright, here we go. There's more Glenn.
They looked at this endless list, these degenerates, these morally burdened creeps.
Well, there's a reason why you hide your face, right?
You have to be a complete moral
like
degenerate to look at a list of infants killed in a war, a long, long list, and say it's not enough, we want more blood in Gaza. That's who's in charge of deciding who loves Israel enough or not to stay in the United States. Here is the Israeli newspaper Haaretz on February 21st.
I mean, that's a psychopathic statement, right? But no one's going to sit here and examine psychopathy, are they? They're not going to examine that. And that's the problem. That will not be the thing that's examined. And that's... whatever. It'll lead to more problems. Here we go.
Of this year. Even the ADL hates this group. Title of the article, Embraces Islamophobia and Harasses Muslims. The ADL lists far-right Beitar USA as a hate group. A review of the ADL database indicates that the militant organization with ties to Israel's ruling Likud is the only Jewish group on the list. Quote, a spokesman for the ADL said this database did not constitute an official list of hate groups and was merely a glossary. Quote, our reporting speaks for itself. The brand new entries draws parallels between the American branch of Beitar and the Jewish Defense League, a militant anti-Arab group founded by the American rabbi Meir Kahane, which has been designated a right-wing terrorist group by the FBI. Quote, the U.S. chapter of Batar, which was revived in June of 2023, adopts the far-right Kahana slogan calling for every Jew, for Jewish armament. Quote, every Jew a 22, openly embraces Islamophobia and harasses Muslims online and in person, says the ADL.
Yeah, that's just overemphasizing that. If the Trump administration is getting these lists of who to fucking get rid of by these guys, yeah. And there'd be no way he wouldn't know, like, which is why they wouldn't be able to say out loud, like, yeah, these guys gave me the list of who to target. All right. Incredible. All right, here we go.
These are the very noble people that are determining our immigration policy. Not for illegal immigrants, for legal immigrants, whose crime is criticizing the foreign country that, for whatever reason, has an immense amount of influence in our own, even though we pay for their wars and subsidize their society. It probably should be the other way around. We have a lot of influence in their country, but that's not how it works. Here's the site, the Electronic Intifada.
I think it does.
Which is a group of...
I think it does. I think we do have influence over there. Heavy influence over there. In the Middle East in general, just from all the army bases, but we also have, I mean, a country that would do our bidding, too. Right? Let's be real. The antagonizing of Iran and all these other, and moving further into Syria and Lebanon. You don't think that's in a neocon's favor? Of course it is. But, whatever. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Works.
Like, it's just
Here's
bizarre.
the site, the Electronic
Foreign policy
Intifada,
sense.
which is a group of journalists that we've had on the show before as well, and they're doing reporting here. Quote, group claiming credit for a Mahmoud Khalil arrested, Mahmoud Khalil arrest demanded the, quote, blood of Gaza's babies. On its website, Batar USA asked for donations from the public, quote, to combat the rising tide of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism sweeping across college campuses and communities in the United States. In 2024, Batar USA obtained tax-exempt charitable status from the U.S. Federal Tax Agency,
Christ.
the IRS. Batar USA calls for donation checks to be mailed to a post office box in White Plains, New York.
That's called Rich People New York. White Plains, Rich People New York. Hold on. So, I'm wrecked, bro. Yeah, if you're Trump, you should be freaked out by this. If they put out lists and all these people on this list just coincidentally get fucking arrested or whatever, or something bad happens to them, like, bro, that's great. That would make this video that Glenn Greenwald is doing, and I've heard this before already, to be real with you, from at least from T-Lab. That means other people have heard of it as well, right? Because he kind of congregates information. But yeah, that should be like one of the biggest stories in America. Fuck this RFK blackmail shit. This should be actually one of the biggest stories in American political history. Like, straight up. Like, this is absolutely bizarre. But all right, here we go.
Our USA calls for donation checks to be mailed to a post office box in White Plains, New York. As a New York-based charity, Batar USA is required to register with the state before it can solicit donations from the public. But despite being based in New York, the organization cannot be found in the state charity database. In a phone call with the Electronic Intifada on Wednesday, an employee of the New York State Charities Bureau confirmed that he could find no registration for Batar. The employee confirmed that if the New York-based charity is soliciting donations without being registered, it is a violation of the law. And then the New York Attorney General issued this statement on March 13th of this year. Regarding Batar, aka Batar Zionist Organization. Dear Ali Abunima, who's a journalist with that site, I am writing in response to your correspondence to the Attorney General's Charity Bureau concerning Batar. We have contacted Batar, the Batar Zionist Organization, Inc., to notify them of the requirement to register with the Charities Bureau. Everything about them is just very sketchy. They will not say where their funding comes from. They will not say who they are, while they drag everybody else's name into the spotlight and now have control over the U.S. government's deportation policies. Here from the Jewish journal The Forward in October of 2018, the Canary Mission blacklist is secretly bankrolled by major Jewish federation. Oh, wow, you don't say. That's such a surprise. Quote, for 3 years, a website called the Canary Mission, this is in 2018 when they were still in their beginning phases, a website called Canary Mission has spread fear among undergraduate activists posting more than 1,000 political dossiers on student supporters of Palestinian rights. The dossiers are meant to harm students' job prospects and have been used in interrogation by Israeli security officials. At the same time, the website has gone to great lengths to hide the digital and financial trail connecting it to its donors and staff. Registered through a secrecy service, the site is untraceable. Now, for the first time, the Forward has definitively identified a major donor to the Canary Mission. It is a foundation controlled by the Jewish Community Federation of San Francisco, a major Jewish charity with an annual budget of over $100 million. The Federation's support of Canary Mission connects the American Jewish establishment itself to a website that is facing increasing criticism from young Jews. Canary Mission has been controversial since it appeared in mid-2015, drawing comparisons to a McCarthyite blacklist. While some of those listed on the site are prominent activists, others are students who attended a single event, or even student government representatives suspected of voting for resolutions that are critical of Israel.
Really? Yeah, that's crazy. But something tells me it's going to be one of those things when their kids get more mature and they start thinking about the world and they want to carve out their own space in the world. They're like, the fuck was my parents doing? And the parents are going to be like, I did what had to be done. Like, you don't understand the sacrifices we had to, like, it's like, bro, stop that bullshit, bro. Get that boomer ass shit out of here, bro. That's what these fools are going to say, like, that are a part of shit like this, where it's like actually hard, like, no, we're doing this for your own good. And their kids are like, what the fuck, dude? Fuck you for this shit, bro. My guess. Maybe my hope. All right, here we go.
All that it takes to get on their blacklist that then goes to the government is just doing anything that suggests you don't love Israel. You attend a protest, a peaceful protest. This is 2018. You write an op-ed, you say something in your class, and then little spies in the class report it, and you go on a blacklist that can destroy your reputation and career. It's intended to do that. Never in their wildest dreams did they imagine that they would one day be dictating to the U.S. government who can stay in the United States and who can't. But that's how top of a priority, how unlimited of a commitment the Trump administration has to purging the country of people who criticize Israel or question U.S. financing of Israel. There you
go. I'll get a nice picture of Glenn. There you go. I mean, sorry, but sometimes the wheels start spinning in my head, and I'm like, okay, conspiracy mind gets going, and it's like, well, why do you? What's the big rush about this? Like these kids protesting? Guess what? They're not going to stop anything. By the time they get any type of leverage, or they convince other people, like, yo, this is wrong over here. By that point, it's already over. I think. In my opinion. So what would be the point of doing all this? And part of me is thinking, same thing with the Venezuelan, well, not just Venezuelans, but the mass deportations of other people. You know, not politically charged deportations, but regular ass shitty deportations. Like, man, are they priming for war, man? This guy's been spouting some shit out here. Trump has been spouting some shit out there, bro. So it's like, is he worried about, like, okay, let's get all the dissenters out before, or as many dissenters as we can, or people that will take advantage of if the country's in chaos. Let's get rid of these guys. What's that line from Game of Thrones where, what's his name, bro? Bronn. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. The guy that works for Tyrion. And there's like a siege that's about to happen, right? Stannis is about to invade King's Landing. And Bronn preemptively arrested all known cutthroats, thieves, gangsters in the entire city. Preemptively arrested them or just had them killed. Because, like, when a siege happens, the most important thing in the world becomes food and water. And the thieves make sure they get all that shit first. Right? They're not gonna pay for it either. They're just gonna steal it. So we need to preemptively get these guys at it. Obviously, that's a weird comparison, but I'm just saying, like, in the minds of a neocon Orange Penguin, let's say some sort of war thing, right? Something overseas, a big war, and you want the domestic shit to be as stable as possible, quote unquote stable, right? It's same with like locking up Japanese in internment camps, right? Which is just fucking blatantly criminal. But once again, when you're a cunt, you gotta do cunty shit. So I'm like, just saying, not saying I know anything. I'm not even saying that that's a good guess. It's just the conspiracy wheels start spinning. I'm just throwing it out there as a consideration. Like, man, what if? What if a major conflict breaks out where we actually start putting troops on the ground in these other places, and thus we need anyone who might dissent to it, as many as we can, get rid of them, shit on their lives in any way we can, and make sure we don't have to deal with that problem. All right, Bush was already cracking heads in the lead up to the Iraq War. And then once it started, kept cracking it until, too late now. We're already at war. Sorry. And the country, the dumb fucks of the country back him for it. Like, yeah, go America. And then they start hating him for it. Years later. Like, wait a minute, fuck you. Where's the weapons of mass destruction? So I'm just throwing it out there. Who knows? But, okay, overall. Yeah, it's like some devil worshiping motherfuckers, bro. Do dirt and hide yourself when you do it. That's the most cunty thing you could do on planet Earth, I think. And hey, maybe someone does some investigative journalism shit and finds out who's doing this. But then again, then we're like 5 degrees separated from the actual original topic, which is we are funding and arming a country that is committing a genocide and destroying a type of person off the earth. These type of people, we want them off the earth. Or at the very least, out of Palestine. So these guys, let's say someone does some investigative work and they find out who did it and who's funding them and all that shit, it'll be, at my guess, it'll be too late. Right? And that's just a spin off of a story about students getting arrested for protesting Israel. Or saying something pro-Palestine, or even, as you can see there from this video, like even some minimal things, maybe just attending a meeting or something like that puts you on a list, possibly. Which means they probably have a rat in there, but no one's looking for it because, like, we're just students. What the fuck would they be? We don't need the fucking FBI watching us for this shit. But whatever. So yeah. It is what it is. Degrees away from the actual original point of why people were out there protesting in the first place, but creepy people do add creepy layers to creepy shit, and hopefully the righteous have to like try to shovel through and figure out what's what. It is what it is, and yeah, there it is. All right, thank you, Glenn Greenwald. Thank you. Don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them. Don't forget to drop a comment if you want to. Say what you think, what you feel. Am I right on my conspiracy? Is that worthy? Or will you not even make it to this point in the video? Who knows? That's it. With all that said, give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.